Hi, everyone. How are y'all doing today? I hope you're doing good. Welcome to my channel and come on in. My name is Jody Jean Daniels, and this is my channel Just Right. We are going to talk about writing your first draft, some tips and tricks learned by me as a project manager, and how I've kind of flipped my Sigma 6 ways of managing massive projects for the government into becoming a full-time writer. I'm really excited about this, guys. I am going to jump over and pull up the first bit of the slides. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Okay, now this is where I want us to start. I am going to pull up my main talking points. So I've got you guys already. So whether you're a seasoned writer or just beginning your journey, crafting a first draft can be daunting. It is just overwhelming sometimes to try and go from story in your mind to page. So in this session, I'm going to try and give you some practical tips and techniques that'll help you navigate all those challenges when you want to start your manuscript. We'll explore strategies for organizing your ideas, maintaining momentum, and embracing the creativity of the process without the pressure of perfectionism, which leads to burnout. So let's dive into transforming your blank page into the foundation of a compelling story. The first thing I always do is I look back on the last step that I went through. The last step that I went through was my planning session. Now, in project management, which is what I'm moving from into being a novelist, your planning session is where you are trying to get down the bones, the skeleton, the structure of what you are having to go through to create your deliverable to get it to your vendor or your client. So during that last step that you will have just finished, you need to go back and think about that moment, and you need to think about, what have I learned about my character during my plotting and planning and my outline? What motivates your character? What are their goals? What drives your character? Short-term goals, long-term goals? How have the motivations shaped your plot? Your character's arc. How does your character change throughout the story? Because remember, we want to have that arc of them being changing, becoming, because that's going to keep the reader involved, instead of if you just have a stagnant character that never changes. What are the pivotal moments that contribute to their growth or to their decline? Like if you have someone that goes from good to evil or evil to good, what are those pivotal moments? What influences their internal and their external conflicts? Remember when we were talking a few videos back on conflicts, and we were talking about how the internal ones and the external ones, how external ones are things that they can't control, and the internal ones, they might have a little bit of say over it, but it takes work for them to get through both types of conflict. It takes the same level of commitment for them to get through. Right. Their backstory, what influences them, what element of your character's past has caused them to react this way now? How do their relationships and experiences change their worldview? Their personality traits. What are your character's dominant traits? How do those traits affect interactions with others and their environment? And are there any contradictions or complexities in their personality? Is there anything that in your storyline that you're already seeing that's kind of butting heads with itself? Is there something you might need to tweak or change about them? Think about their strengths and weaknesses. What are the character strengths that help them overcome those challenges? What are their weaknesses or flaws that create vulnerabilities? What are their core values? What are their beliefs? What do they hold true to, and how are those values tested throughout your story? And then relationships with other characters and even the antagonist. What are the key relationships in your character's life? And how does that relationship or those relationships evolve? And how do they impact your character and your character's development? The external appearances and mannerisms. What physical trait is distinctive? What makes them unique? Do these traits, contrast with their inner self, or is it something quirky? And then decision making. How does your character make decisions? Are they impulsive? Are they calculated? Are they emotional? Or are they logical? And how do their decisions drive the plot forward? Remember, that's what matters with your story. You have to be always driving your plot forward. And by considering these questions, you can gain a deeper understanding of your character and how they fit into your narrative. So they'll be more well-rounded, they'll be more believable. Now, just like in the last phase of the plotting and the planning and the outlining, you need to embrace imperfection in your planning this out. Okay. Because when you accept that you just need to embrace the imperfection, your zero draft or first draft, whichever you call it, I call mine a zero draft. It's your rough draft. It's called rough for a reason. So just embrace it. Understand the purpose of a first draft. It's just to get your ideas on paper. It's not anything but a starting point. And then shift your mindset from, just think of it as exploration. This is a chance for you to discover your story, to figure out the flaws of your character and how to make it more flawless and how to make it flow better with your storytelling. And set realistic expectations on yourself. Your first draft is going to have a plot hole. It can be fixed later. It's a first draft. Focus on progress, not perfection. Progress, not perfection. That's what Sarah, one of my writer friends, has always preached to me. And then also silence your inner critic. Just tell them to hush. Don't edit as you write. Don't let your creativity flow stop. This is a critical evaluation of the stage of your writing. So you just need to keep writing. Just keep writing and embrace the mistakes as learning opportunities. And then take time to view them as part of the creative process. And celebrate the small wins. Like every time you make a step forward, celebrate it. Tell your writing community about it. And if you're not in a writing community, come on and join us over in Heart Breathings, Sarah Cannon's channel, or come on over and join mine, The Whiskies, Jody Jean Daniels on Facebook. I'd love to have you too. So just always remember that. And again, if you're stuck, just like when you are over in outlining, plotting, and planning, if you can't think of how to name something or you can't think of how a scene should flow, placeholder. Just put a placeholder in it. And then just trust the process. Just trust it, trust it, trust it. It's all going to work out. Many successful authors write many drafts before their books go to publish. Seek feedback wisely. When you do need feedback, get it from somebody you really trust, somebody who can give you constructive feedback. And then the most important thing is just to keep writing. Just keep writing. All right. Checking the word count goal you set during plotting and planning and outlining. Does it now line up with? Is it in line with your first draft goals? Now that you're in your first draft and you're setting all those goals for yourself and you're determining what you need, do you need to tweak it? Remember, I told you at the beginning of this when I was explaining how project management worked and how milestone goals, those dates are not set in stone at that point, because when you're getting into this part of it, which this part of the nitty gritty, as it were, is called executing, your execution in project management. When you actually get into it and you start working on your deliverable, again, remember, is your book. So you're always tweaking and checking with those dates and milestones, trying to keep them as close as possible to what you had. But if they have to move, knowing that's still okay. Okay. Now, in project management, it is a little bit different than that because you have government agencies that give you dates, but they also understand things happen and sometimes you have to move those dates. So will your editor. So will your cover artist. They will understand if your dates have to move. I just had a situation where I had to move some of my dates back, and my editor understood. My cover artist understood. My book tour manager understood. You just have to keep communication open and going. So, setting a word count goal, though, what it can do for you is it can provide structure and focus. It's going to boost your motive. I am so sorry, you guys. I'm going to have to get a sip of water, I believe. Much better. It's going to boost your motivation. It's going to encourage you to be consistent. And it's going to help you break down the task. Writing a novel can be, as we said, overwhelming, but breaking it down into smaller, more manageable parts, like a word count goal that's daily, is going to make the task seem less daunting. Instead of, oh, I need to go work on that 70,000 word document I need to get done. No, I need to go write between 1,000 and 2,000 words. That's a lot more manageable. And it also helps you track your progress. I think I showed you guys last week my book that I use for that. This thing is so cute and I just love it, guys. I just think it's the cutest thing ever. Mel Powers over at Power Press Play made these books. And this is Chad. Everybody who goes to her sprints knows we love Disco Chad. And she made these little word count goals for us. And I love this little book. So I use this. So this is another analog thing that I use. But if you don't want to go over and grab that off of her Amazon everything but peppers page, you can always go to my Patreon. I have a free one up on my channel that you can just grab a word count. But I love the word count. Also, setting the count, it's going to manage your time effectively, and you're going to reduce your procrastination habit. It's going to build your momentum because you're going forward something, and that is going to enhance your creativity, believe it or not. Regular writing will stimulate by your word count and your goals, and it enhances that creativity because you're in there and you're writing and you're getting on a roll. And if you do it daily, it's going to do that because it's also going to encourage you to be more disciplined. Again, it goes back to helping you beat the procrastination monster. All right, continuing. I think I pulled the same one back up, guys. I'm sorry. But oh no, I know what I wanted to remind you guys of this. When you are writing daily, what it does for you, that's what this is you're building habits and you're improving your writing skills and you're increasing your productivity. So that was the other thing that I also liked about it. But the thing I like about writing daily, even though I know sometimes, we get into life happens and you can't, but it provides a sense of accomplishment. When I complete my daily word count, it gives me a boost in confidence, motivation, and it pushes me to want to keep going and to continue. And also writing every day, even if it's not on the same book. Like if I'm at a point where I can't write on my work in progress, I will do prompts because regular writing helps you develop and refine your voice, your unique voice as a writer, and it makes you more authentic and more distinctive with your writing. So I think it just creates a routine. It just helps you get into the swing of things, and it just makes things a lot easier on you as the time goes because it's kind of building day after day after day, builds and builds and builds. And it's a habit that just builds continually and just helps you be a stronger writer. All right. Be kind to yourself. Yes. Set realistic goals. And I told you this when we went over milestones, when we were setting our original set, that you need to establish achievable writing goals that fit your schedule and your energy level because you are important. As my best friend would say, you're worth it. If nobody's told you today, you are enough and you're worth it. So avoid setting overly ambitious targets because that will lead to burnout. Trust me. Again, celebrate the small wins, take those breaks, and practice self compassion, guys. Talk nice to yourself. Avoid negative self talk. Talk nice to yourself. And don't compare yourself with other writers. You're not them, you're you, and you're the only person who can do that. You are the only you there is. You are not them, they are not you. So don't compare yourself to them. Because when you are working and you're in a comfortable environment, you're confident in yourself, you're going to be able to be more connected to other writers and be supportive of their writers if you're of the other writers, if you're not constantly comparing yourself to them. So just go slow and don't be too harsh on those setbacks because they're going to happen. They're going to happen, but you just have to let it go. Be like Elsa. Another thing that I do about online with this is I keep a journal. I keep a writing journal about my book, about where I am, what I'm doing, and I write my thoughts and feelings about my writing process. I will write down fears that I have, especially when imposter syndrome hits. I'll put that in there. I'll do a brain dump and then I'll highlight what thoughts are rational, what thoughts are irrational. And then I'll go down through there and just really break that down and just really do a good journaling session on it so I can reflect on my progress and I can reflect on what's real and what's not real. Engage in self care. Okay. I need you to always, always, always put you first and take care of yourself. If you're tired, if you are getting to that point, you know it. You can feel it in your body. Don't wait for your body to say, wah, 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 I shut down. No. When you feel it, step away. All right. Be flexible with the outline that you created in the last phase. This is one of my, when I first started, this was why I shied away from and didn't go into planning for so long. It's why I used to be a complete and total pantser. And that's a hard thing to be, let me tell you. But when you realize it's your outline, you wrote it. So if you get into the story, something needs to change, it can change because it's your story. So be flexible with it. Treat it as a guide. It's a guide. It's a roadmap rather than a strong blueprint. Okay? It's a guide, but it's not there to constrain you or your creativity. Allow for spontaneity. Allow for, you want to write this, you want to write this character this way, you want to change this, you want to change that. Allow for it and embrace those changes, but also review and revise your outline because you want to make sure when you're going back and forth that they kind of match up. So pencil those things in. Make circles on your outline. Make it a big mess, especially in OneNote. You can do that. There's the pen option. You can pull that up. And it's just, trust me, you want to do this in OneNote. Actually, you know what? Let me see if I can pull it up really quick and I'll show you guys how easy it is. All right, like this is my first draft of my first book, The Ledger. And let's see, this one, draw. Let's just say I have this red pen and I'm like, I'm not sure about this guy's name. I don't know if that's what I want. And you can do things like that in OneNote. That is what's so awesome to me about OneNote is it's just the flexibility of it. It's amazing how easy it is to use. And no, this is not sponsored. I just love it. I think it is a great product and I just wanted to show you guys how easy it was to use. All right, let's hop back over to PowerPoint. Okay. Now, you need to focus on the big picture also when you're thinking about your outline and listen to your characters. Let your characters develop the way they need to develop. Okay. And just prioritize the flow of your story. Storytelling. Okay. It's storytelling. But just be sure if you stick with just your outline and the story feels forced, it's going to feel unnatural and it's going to just turn into this rigid plan and it's going to come through in your writing. But make sure you document all your changes. If you take out big ideas, like you have this scene that you already wrote from when you were brainstorming and when you were outlining and plotting and planning, but you've realized it's not going to work for this story. What I do is I take that out and I have another notebook in OneNote called archiving. And I will take that scene with a very detailed description of what it is and I will archive it and keep it. That way you can use that. You can adapt that idea maybe into a new story. All right. We've already talked about this, but just remember about the placeholders. You've got to keep moving forward. That's the reason I put it in here again, because I get decision fatigue. So because I get decision fatigue, I cannot sit and try and figure it out. I no. And it will cause me to go into writer's block. It makes me just feel stuck. And using a placeholder is going to make me feel more flexible and it's going to speed up me writing my first draft. But now, if you get to the end of the day and you've used this placeholder for some time and you can't, you're in second or third edits and you still don't have a name or you still don't have the place or you still don't have the scene, that's when you can reach out to your editor and get some help. And we're going to talk about that more when we talk about editors and editing later on in the series and how you can work through these stuck areas with your editor. Focus on the story you want to tell, not what you want to sell. um, Authenticity is something that is, oops, sorry guys, I don't know what happened. Authenticity is something that we're losing more and more of in the world because, and that's easy to do. But the best advice for authors that I have found and that I can give you is write a story that you're passionate about. You're passionate about the characters, the narrative. The more passionate you are about it and the more authentic you are, the more your reader can tell. And they will read your book with enthusiasm. It creates freedom. When you're focusing on a story that allows you creativity, freedom, you are not constrained by market trends or external expectations because that stifles your creativity. Personal satisfaction. You want to write a story, you want to tell, it provides personal satisfaction and fulfillment because it's intrinsic. The motivation can sustain you through the challenging times of writing your book if it's something you're passionate about, if it's a story that in your heart you love, and it will make your voice more unique and stand out in a sea of indie writers, because there's a million of us, by staying true to your vision and contributing like a diverse story into the literary world, and something that's unique to you. And just always, that it's that same thing about quality over anything. You want, market trends are fleeting. We all know, like vampire, werewolf, and it goes to this, and then it goes to this is popular, and then it goes to this is popular. And if you focus on quality rather than chasing trends, in my opinion, the results are going to be more timeless and more impactful. The emotional connection, when someone's reading a book that you are emotionally connected to, and it is written from your heart, it's going to resonate with readers because they can tell. They will have a strong connection, not only to your characters and to your work, but to you. That is that emotional connection is how you pull in a readership and a community, because, and then in turn, that's how you build a long-term career. If you are writing based on what you love and with passion and enthusiasm, it's going to eliminate burnout because you're going to be ready to go. You're going to want to go, and keep writing. And you're going to have a community around you that loves you and that you love because you're doing what you love. And in that way, you can leave a legacy and an impact. I have to get a sip of water, guys. Creating work that's meaningful is always going to lead you from project to project that way. And it's going to be such a confidence builder, and it's going to start making you believe in yourself, and you're going to trust your instincts, and you're going to start writing what you want and tell the stories, because it's going to reinforce your self-belief and your abilities as an author. Taking the breaks. Some things that I have started doing. I've started going for walks. I know that one's kind of generic, but I do it in such a way that in between each of my busy parts of my day, I start my day now with self-care. I don't do anything before my self-care time. I used to get up in the mornings. I would waddle over here in my PJs and I would start working. And then at some point, when I couldn't take it anymore, I'd be like, I take a shower. and I'd go take a shower. And I would piecemeal my taking care of myself from like 10 a.m. to noon. So it's like I do this, do this, do this, do this. And I wasn't really taking care of myself. And because of that, I wasn't really taking breaks. I would sit down and just work, 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 work. And I think a lot of that goes back to when you're working for yourself. When I became a full-time writer and I became the person in charge of my own destiny, I you and this is with anybody, any entrepreneur can tell you this, you will always work harder for yourself than you have ever worked for anybody else. I at one point was working 14 to 16-hour days, and Dan just had to sit me home and sit me down at home and say, no honey. And it's true. So I have started my mornings off with a self-care routine. It takes me an hour to do it all, where I'm journaling, I'm meditating, I'm going for a walk, and I'm doing all the things to take care of myself. So, all that to say, take a break. Watch your favorite show. Don't work 14-hour days. There are going to be days like nearing your launch when you are going to have to work long days, but try a hobby, read a book, walk away for a little bit, play a game. Just incorporate something enjoyable into your break, so you can go back into and start writing again with more energy and enthusiasm and that passion we were talking about. All right. Pick a research time and day. Okay, this is important for me. Don't know about you guys, but the placeholder thing that I use started because of this. When I want to choose a place, when I want to understand something more, when I need to research something, I was notorious for spending 2 or 3 hours researching and be like, I sat on the piece of furniture and I'm like, oh, wait. Okay, this is written in the 1600s. So what kind of wood and furniture did they have then? Okay, so so far I've got like 5 words of my story, and then 2 hours later I come back and put I sat down on 2 hours later I have my answer. So I went to this particular brand of work because it works for me. It may not work for you, but I suggest to give it a try. I pick a research time and day. I have a notebook. I write everything down that I need to research and what's going on, what chapter I was in or what scene I was in, act, whatever. I make a notation, and then I go during that day, and I designate, or that you can designate for yourself. And it's helped me because it's improved my focus and my efficiency. Designating rather a specific time for the research, it's going to help you concentrate on writing instead of having to stop that forward momentum of your writing to do something else. You're just going to keep you writing. It's going to reduce interruptions because you already know it's there. It's like, oh, I'll get to it because I got that scheduled. It's in my schedule. I'm going to do it on this day at this time. And it helps create a routine, which we've talked about through this entire series about how important routine is. And then it's going to organize all of your information into one spot. And again, it goes back to OneNote. And let me pull that up and I can show that book to you guys too. Um, Let's go to my research is where on this one. There we go. Oh no, this is my brainstorming book. Sorry, guys. My books aren't opening. Uh-oh. That's not good when my bush won't open. There we go. So in this one, I love being able to do things like this, to figure things out, how I see them, and doing stuff like this. So I will pull all this research. I will do this on one day. This particular research was done during a brainstorming that I was doing, but I do my research the same way every time. I'm always going to go back to my research has to be on one day, because if I don't, it's just I'm just going to get bogged down, because doing it this way, it makes the writing kind of smoother and more informed, and it balances writing and research, which helps balance that. It just helps balance your task out more. So it reduces you being overwhelmed, it enhances your productivity, and it really provides a mental break from writing, because switching between writing and research can provide a mental break and activity, as long as you're not going writing, research, writing, research, writing, research. But if you have a day and time where you just sit down, that way it's going to ensure thoroughness, because you're going to give yourself that time. To regular research sessions are going to ensure that you've covered all that's necessary for the aspect of your story. And it's going to bring you back to a more rounded draft by scheduling that time. All right. Let me. And we are at the end. Thank you guys for joining me today. And I hope you found this helpful. Don't forget to click like and subscribe to my channel if you aren't, for more writing tips and content. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and comment down below and give me your thoughts. I would love for you to become a member of my YouTube channel for exclusive perks. And you can visit my link tree for any of those links that you may need to get to anything Jody Jean. But I appreciate you guys, and thank you so much for being here. And you know what I'm going to say before I say it, but I'm going to say it anyway. I may not be everybody's cup of tea, but I'm a really awesome group of people's double shot of whiskey. And I'm so happy and I'm so proud that you find me just right. Thanks, guys. Love you. Love you. I will see you later. Don't forget to join me on Monday and Thursday nights for a live stream sprinting from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern. Bye.